Good evening, viewers. Welcome to the commemorative area of the Australian War Memorial for this special last post ceremony. My name's Richard Cruz. Shortly, a member of the Australian Defence Force who is currently deployed overseas will read this evening's story. We would like to acknowledge the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who continue to watch the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the Australian National Anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty rich and rare. In history's page let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Now we will hear the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century.
Good evening. My name is Lieutenant Brendan Kilpatrick and I'm currently serving the Australian Army. Today we remember and pay tribute to Trooper Jack Frederick James Wentford. Jack Wentford, sometimes known as Mick, was born on the 11th of April 1890, the third son of John and Minnie Wentford of Mackay, Queensland. His parents had migrated to Australia in the early 1880s, John from England and Minnie from Ireland. Jack's father worked transporting goods for a large number of companies in Mackay. His family was well known in the district. Wentford became a fireman on the railways and served many years in the local Light Horse Regiment. He was a prominent member of the local football club and played in many inner-city matches in Mackay and Charters Towers. He enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force within weeks of the outbreak of the war in 1914. Unusually for someone of his military experience, he did not apply for a commission, but instead posted to the 2nd Light Horse Regiment with the rank of trooper. He underwent a brief period of training in Australia before being sent to Egypt for beginning his overseas service. Wentford thoroughly enjoyed his time in Egypt. Many men in his regiment were locals of Mackay, so Jack was surrounded by his friends, which broke the drudgery of bayonet practice and route marches. He wrote chatty letters home, describing the donkey races and sharing cigarettes. On one occasion, he wrote that he was feeling a bit off colour one day and did not go out for drill, but went on for a ride in his mate's transport wagon. Although he was punished for this, he added that the break had been all the cure I ever wanted. Ever since, I recommended to anyone that was ill to take a ride with our local lad. Trooper Wentford was eager to get to the front riding. We hope to give a good account of ourselves in the firing line. When will we get there is the endless cry of the lads. Their chance came in 1915 when the 2nd Light Horse Regiment was sent to Gallipoli unmounted to reinforce the infantry. Arriving on the 12th of May 1915, the regiment soon made an attack on German positions near Quinns Post. suffering around 50 casualties. One of those wounded was Trooper Wentford, who had been struck in the thigh, probably by a Turkish bomb. He was evacuated to a hospital in Egypt, where he succumbed to his wounds 6 days later. Wentford was buried in the Chatby Military and War Memorial Cemetery in Alexandria. Back home, his death was noted in the local paper. A big, daring, and good-hearted Australian, it looks like only yesterday that he was raced to the boat just as the little vessel was leaving the wharf, full of rude health and patriotic ardour, taking his place in the army of Britain's defenders. Wentford Street in Mackay is named in Jack's honour. He was 25 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour among almost 62,000 Australians who died in the First World War. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Trooper Frederick James Wentford, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. The going down of the sun, and in the morning we will remember them. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for watching and wish you all a very good evening.